Okay, hi, thank you for coming back, or welcome. This is going to be about Genesis chapter 2. So if you haven't read chapter 1, and you might want to go back, you don't have to, but you might want to go back and listen to that one first. But here we are at Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing, and so on the seventh day he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. And I just want to point out, we talk about the Sabbath. There's actually many Sabbaths. I just recently learned this too, but I'm not going to put it in there right now. But there's a lot of other times when the Lord actually commands us to rest, okay, or commanded his people to rest. And Jesus had said that the Sabbath, we're supposed to keep the Sabbath holy. That's part of the Ten Commandments. But Jesus had said, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, when they came at him, because he was doing things on the Sabbath. And but the Sabbath is supposed to be a holy day. It's supposed to be a day of rest, but it's not a day where you become so rigid in your, it's a day we're supposed to worship the Lord, okay? But it's not a day that you become so rigid that you sacrifice mercy or love to be holy, because that was the example that Jesus said. If an ox falls into a pit, are you going to leave it there? Or are you going to pull it out? You're going to pull the ox out. You should. That's the kind thing to do. That's the right thing to do. But yes, it's working, okay? But it's a loving thing. So anyway, God created the Sabbath. This is the account of the heavens and earth when they were created, when the Lord made the earth and the heavens. Now no shrub had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant had yet sprung up for the Lord had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no one to work the ground. But streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. And the Lord formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostril the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Now the Lord had planted a garden in the east in Eden, where he put the man he had formed. The Lord God had made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This one, we talk a lot about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but there's two trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And we're going to learn more about that. But I wonder, who do you think? I'm just going to ask. I'm not going to tell you yet. But who do you think is the tree of life? Okay. A river, we're in verse 10. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden, and from there it was separated into 4 headwaters. And the name of the first was the Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, and where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good, and aromatic resin and onyx are also there. And the name of the second river is the Gishon, and it winds through the entire land of Cush. And this land of Cush, this is all, I know there's some people who think that this is in Ethiopia, okay, but you're going to see that there's also the Tigris and the Euphrates. Now we know where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers are. They are still actually there, and they are up on the Sinai Peninsula in Saudi Arabia, and then Cush is kind of down here in Ethiopia. So there's no way that river there is in Cush, okay, can reach up there where the Euphrates and Tigris is. But you'll have to look this up. There are places where they've actually found ancient waterbeds of rivers that have dried up, where they think they kind of know where Eden is or was. It's gone now, but they think that they know based on some archaeological evidence. Okay. The name of the third river is the Tigris, and it runs along the east side of Asher, and the fourth river is the Euphrates. And like I said, we know where the Tigris and the Euphrates is. Okay. And the Lord took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. Remember that. He said, you can't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because when you eat from it, you're going to die. Okay, you will certainly die. And the Lord said, it's not good for the man to be alone. I'll make a helper suitable for him. Now the Lord had formed out of the ground all the wild animals and all the birds in the sky, and he brought them to the man to see what he would name each of them. And whatever the man named called each living creature, that was its name. So the man gave names to all the livestock, all the birds in the sky, and all the wild animals. But for Adam no suitable helper was found. So the Lord caused the man to fall asleep, in a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs, and then he closed up the place with flesh. And the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. And the man said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. And that's why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Adam and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. And that's the end of chapter 2.